All right, ladies and gentlemen, we have some breaking news. Aaron Hernandez was found guilty of murder in the first degree for killing Odin Lloyd in June of 2013. The former Patriots tight end has been sentenced to a mandatory life in prison sentence without parole. Lloyd, you may remember, was dating the sister of Aaron Hernandez's fiance. He was found shot 6 times in an industrial park less than a mile away from Hernandez's home. Skip and Stephen A., we just got this information in, and so we're taking a moment to digest. The jury deliberated for 6 days, 6 work days. Again, he is guilty, sentenced to life in prison without parole. Skip, do you want to go first?
Let Stephen A. take a shot at it.
Stephen A., you want to go? Your reaction to that?
Well, first of all, as we've said on many occasions, on behalf of all of us at this show and at this network, our heart goes out to the family for Odin Lloyd. He was murdered. We all knew this. The particulars was something that we were going to learn through the courts, but nothing's going to bring him back. And I still remember when Aaron Hernandez was being arraigned after being arrested, how Odin Lloyd's family, his mom, siblings, were in attendance and how devastated they all appeared.
Yeah.
So your heart goes out to his family. Your heart goes out to him, God rest his soul. And this is just tragic on all levels. Aaron Hernandez was a star football player. Chances are, if he had not been arrested, the New England Patriots would have won a Super Bowl sooner than this past February. He signed a contract in excess of $40 million, had his whole career, his whole life in front of him. And based on today's verdict, he threw it all away. And why? We don't know why. We can speculate that he never left the streets, that he didn't want to move on from what he supposedly should have graduated from.
Right here in Bristol, Connecticut.
That's right. The company you keep, the kind of environment you choose to be in, your unwillingness to let go of an environment, a past, the company that I alluded to, etc. They're not the ones that just received a life sentence. And let's repeat what happened. He has been found guilty of first-degree murder. He has been sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole, which means that Aaron Hernandez will be in jail, in prison, for the rest of his natural life. For what? For what? It's just sad, but I also think, regardless of what they're trying, what they may be willing to say, I'm never one of those guys, Skip, Cari, who believes that a jury is oblivious to the real world and what's going on. And they never hear anything. You might not hear any particulars about this case, but I think you see what's going on in society. I think you surmise what's going on with at least some of these athletes and what have you. And you want to throw a curveball towards all of that to send a message that we need to stop this nonsense. You need to stop this nonsense. Whatever it is that you're doing that could get yourself in trouble, it ain't worth it, because this is how you can end up. And certainly that has happened with Aaron Hernandez. My heart goes out to Odin Lloyd and his family, but in the end, this seems like a just verdict, and I don't think anybody can deny that. And hopefully a lot of people out there who could find themselves in this predicament, this will give them cause to pause.
I appreciated everything you just said. Just to be completely objective and fair, this jury seems somewhat conflicted here because it didn't arrive at its verdict in 15 minutes. It did take 6 working days, and there were some predictions it could be over within 1 day of deliberation. I didn't hear all the testimony, obviously, and I don't want to retry the case here, but I'm with you. My takeaway is, what a profoundly sad story this is.
So sad.
We had Aaron sit right here on this show. Obviously, he was capable of coming across as a good guy. I liked him. I had fun with him on the air. Right. Obviously, his owner and his coach and his quarterback, they liked the heck out of him. And they pretty much bought what he was selling them for most of the time until somebody got murdered. But you talk about having it, quote unquote, all. You're a key member of what you call the best franchise in the National Football League, right?
Yep.
The New England Patriots, positioned year after year after year to win Super Bowls, and you can't give up whatever you want to call that gangster life or whatever it is that you just can't let go of. And for all that, this is what you wind up with? Life? Life. You had life. You had the best. How many young guys out there right now would say, man, I'll take that. I'll take, that kind of fame and fortune?
Yeah.
Wow. And you threw it away for life in prison. Whew. It's just shockingly sad. But it's hard for me to say it was the wrong verdict. I mean, from all I read and all I heard, and there are other allegations still that hung over his head. Mm-hmm. Of other incidents that he was involved in.
A double murder from 2007.
The murder charges, the drive-by shooting that happened in Boston.
So, the only silver lining to this is we have a big audience out there, and I hope this is hitting home with some of the younger people in our audience.
Well, let's be clear about something. It's interesting, and I'm not going to veer off, but I'm going to be consistent with my position on this. I love when I see guys in the courtroom, for example. I shouldn't say love because I don't love it, but I love the ability to make this point. You're there. Look, did you see Aaron Hernandez just now? Suited down, clean cut, tie, everything else, trying to portray a different image than what you were portraying leading up to this. Presentation matters, image matters, company you keep matters. All of these things speak for you. And even though in this particular instance, it appears that he was guilty because clearly a jury has reached that conclusion. And I pretty much assumed this was going to be a foregone conclusion, Skip, the minute his lawyers said, well, he was there, he witnessed it. Yeah. He just wanted to, you're done. You're done. Because before that wasn't the case. But then he came up and he admitted that, he was there, he was in attendance, he saw it happen, he just wasn't the one who did it. Oh, please. Yeah. It's too late to come to the party with that. But the point is that we want to act like so many things. Talking, my experiences, I'm from the streets of New York City. You understand? I grew up with a certain element, surrounded by it. I know this stuff. And all I'm saying to you is that you can find yourself. You don't have to be Aaron Hernandez to find yourself in trouble if you don't guard against how you present yourself, if you don't guard against how you act, and you don't guard against keeping the wrong company in your presence. You got to be mindful of all of that because anything can happen to you. This appears to be just, but there's a lot of people that would sit there and say, well, certain things weren't just, but found themselves in similar predicaments because you didn't guard against that stuff. So hopefully we'll all learn. So bottom line, deep down, just your view, does a guy like Aaron Hernandez finally decide that he is, so to speak, bulletproof, like he's empowered, he's entitled, he can get away with anything he wants to get away with off the field because he's such a big deal on the field? You know what? It could be a little bit of that, Skip, but also the one thing I think it's important to point out that sometimes it's not just about you thinking you're all this or all that. Sometimes it's about the lack of value you place on the life of other human beings. Yeah. You think they're so insignificant that you can do what you want to them, and they won't be missed, and they don't matter. And I think it speaks very, very good about our society when we send a message that a relative unknown, like an Odin Lloyd, matters to us. Yeah. Because life matters, should matter to all of us.
Our Michelle Steele, who's been doing a very good job reporting on
She's
the
done
case,
exceptional, yes.
She said that during the verdict, Hernandez turned to his fiance and mouthed, "Be strong." The family of Odin Lloyd also in the courtroom, extremely emotional, and they also yelled out, gasp, when they found out it was a guilty verdict. 25-year-old Aaron Hernandez found guilty of first-degree murder, sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. We need you at home to stay tuned to ESPN and SportsCenter for continuing coverage of the Hernandez case. We'll have more First Take after the break.